Why do we say so? Our mothers, without our mothers, we would not be here, as I said earlier. And all that we know, the first language we learn to speak comes from the mother. To communicate, that's why it's called the mother's tongue. That's the priceless role our mothers play. So we thank them. And I'm sure today we're going to do something very special for them. I'm really honored and humbled, actually, to stand before you today. When the master class was first introduced to me on my attendance last week, I found it very interesting. And then I was then asked of my life preoccupation, my calling of, could you kindly come and talk about recruitment? I actually then found out something very interesting about it. It was now I turned the role around that I actually became recruited in order to talk about it. What is recruitment about? It is actually a process, all right? It's actually on 12, I got it into 12 stages, as it were, in the sense that it's employers who trigger the recruitment cycle. Employers have got a need or what we call a vacancy. When they've got that need, employers have got a choice of how they are going to find this person, because vacancies are arisen in an organization. A vacancy is arisen in an organization. There are ways they go about filling this position. They can advertise themselves. If you notice, the world of work has evolved. Where we were 30 years ago when we started, it was the newspapers. You put an advert in the newspaper, if you remember. But now it has changed. Now there are social media, there are platforms, there's LinkedIn. There are now various platforms that are actually being used. What is the intention? To make it as hassle-free as possible and as efficient as possible. And also for cost containment. A recruitment exercise costs money. It may not be money you see exchanging hands, but the biggest value is time. All right? So that we are looking at that whole cycle. It's triggered by an organization. What really are companies? Companies, by and large, to exist, they are better than their competition. That's why they exist. And what is the drive of companies? To get the best possible people to work for them. Right? So in pursuit of getting the best possible people to work for them, what do? They go out and look for the best talent. I think something that's so obvious to all of us in recruitment. We see it as being sports fans, the football teams. There's recruitment that takes place before our very own eyes. When we look at any, say, what we're most familiar with, Pirates, Chiefs, English Premier League, Liverpool, Arsenal, you name them. Those teams, Manchester City, let's not forget them. Right? When you look at them, they try and bring the best talent the world over. Those 11 men you see on the field, they are the best at what they do. Because if they are not the best at what they do, there's no team to talk about. And why is it of great importance to those teams? Winning is everything. With winning, what comes with winning? Obviously, there's prize money. There's also greater support base. Results speak for them. And so is it with companies. Companies, in their own way, that is not so visible to all of us. Their goal is to get the best talent possible. Right now, as I said earlier, they can either go directly to recruit, or they'll come and approach a person like myself, a recruitment consultant. All right? What is my role? I'm a catalyst. I'm bringing two parties together. The prospective employer and the job seeker or the opportunity seeker, right? So my role is to see that the employer plays by the rules, and also the one who is being recruited, their interests, all parties' interests are protected for their mutual benefit. So when the company approaches me, they say, we've got this vacancy. And then I say to them, I've got candidates for you for that role. So what then happens? I go through what we call a database of possible candidates. This database is not of standing men and women, no. It's of CVs, curriculum vitae. But what is a CV really? Okay, CV is a short summary of a person's career, qualifications, and their education. That CV determines your suitability to a particular role, to a particular position. So that CV, you as a candidate, is your gate pass. The CV gets there before you do. So what does it entail? It needs to be properly done. Here in South Africa, we call them CVs. In the United States, they call them resume. But it's one and the same thing. Yes. And now with this CV as well, you got to see that you don't embellish things. What do I mean by embellishing? Don't tell people you're a doctor when you are not. These are some of the problems that have actually arisen, and with dire consequences. One, for the individual concerned, bear in mind, all of us are brands. That name we carry, we need to jealously guard it and protect it. That when somebody talks of Raymond Kasganete, there's something to follow from that. What comes to your mind about Raymond Kasganete? Yeah? Thank you. Immediately someone says, that man is a pastor. That man is a prophet. And already, that they say so, there's already an expectation of, is he who he says he is? So is it with your CV. Does it reflect you adequately? That when somebody looks at your CV, does it incite an excitement, incite somebody to say, I think I would like to meet that person? That's what your CV does. So it's a process that you should delicately take time to do. Treat it as an investment. Treat it as your wonderful name going out there into the market. Right? And also be very candid, open, and honest. However, that you're giving your CV, be alive to what is called the POPI Act, protection of private information. Not everything do you need to put on your CV. You don't have to just out of nowhere, unless you are actually responding directly to a position. You cannot put your CV out there with your contact details and where you live. You're opening yourself up to some things to some consequences that may just arise. Not everybody who is calling for CVs do they have honorable intentions, I would say. Okay, so it then speaks to, so we're talking of this CV. Now, from this CV determines your fit for a position. All right? So I, as a recruiter, will get your CV, and what do? I then call you and say, by the way, Lindy, there's an opportunity with such and such a company. Would you consider it? I cannot send your CV to anybody else without your permission. Because we're getting into an area of what we call futility. Lindy says, I can only take a job here in Midrand. I'll not go to Joburg or Pretoria. Right? Now, if I would send her CV without talking to her to a position in the East Rand, it's an utter waste of time for all concerned. my time, her time, and more so for the client, the company that is looking for a person. All right, so we've got to do our back office of seeing that the people we put forward are interested in that position. All right, and when we take these CVs before the client, we present them. As I said, this one of the most important aspects to an interview, to a recruitment process, is time. Because you may be in touch with the person who is responsible for hiring people into the organization. There's what we call the line manager, to the person who the position reports into, and other people who will form what they call a panel. The panel may be 1 or even up to 10 people, depending on the level of position and what the intention is. All right? So we take the candidates' papers, these prospective candidates, to the client and present them as best as we can. All right? Then the client will look at those CVs that were brought before them, and they will do what we call a shortlist. So we then advise those who are supposed to attend the interview that they would like to meet with you. One thing you can take comfort in, as a person who's been called to an interview, you are 50% of the way there. Even if there are 5 or few, you are 50% of the way there. Because the company says, we've got an interest to see this person. We think this person, from what their papers say, could actually meet our need. So what is your role to play as the candidate going for an interview? First and foremost is preparation. If a company calls you for an interview, take time to know what that company is about. Try and get as much information. The internet is a wonderful place now. You want to know about, for example, Coca-Cola or SAP or whoever, or multi-choice. You can get that information about them on the internet. It's onus upon you to do as much research as you can, so that when they talk to, when you get there, and also in that time as you prepare, you get to know where the place is. Another aspect, when you go through for an interview, make yourself as presentable as possible. As you have seen with Prophet Raymond this morning, he's coming to minister to us. He puts on his jacket and tie. He puts on his suit. When he stands here, we pay attention. Because an interview, you've got already what they want in terms of qualifications and your experience. So now when you go before these people, is to confirm their suspicion. And how do you get them to confirm that suspicion? Another aspect of it, very importantly, show up on time. Yes. Show up on time. It's good for you as well as the person attending an interview. Once you get flustered, you get nervous, and you kind of lose yourself. But if you're on time, and when you're on time, you present, you've presented the best you can be before these people. What happens? You can focus to the task on hand, to attend to that interview. All right, and in attending that, they will have relevant questions, because these people already have got an inkling that you are who they are looking for, and they want to confirm that suspicion. So they're going to ask you questions that of you as an individual, and also related to the job at hand and your experience. What they're looking for is the confirmation of what you have written here. What you have written down must come out of your mouth, right? Concise. Not taking the people on a wild goose chase, on a run around verbosity. No, stick to the point, and be direct. And also show in that interview, when you're asked questions of your competencies. Do you know what is a competence? What are competences? Your capabilities, your ability to do the job at hand. But also, over and above that, they're not only looking at what is written on your CV. What is it that you are bringing to this job over and above? What have been your achievements? You know, people are not looking for somebody who can do 8 to 5. That is fine. Are you the last one to arrive and the first one to leave in the afternoon when 5 o'clock strikes? 5 o'clock actually, because you are 1 minute before 5 to get out of the place. Or are you one to leave as and when you think your task for the day is accomplished? Do you take pride in your work? Demonstrate that to them in the interview. And then, after the interview has been concluded, be gracious enough to thank them for affording you the opportunity to come and present yourself. Then, what will happen in the background after you leave? The panel in the company, they'll sit amongst themselves, whoever on this panel, and they'll discuss you. They'll discuss you. I've been fortunate to work with some companies. If they interview people on a particular day, by 5 o'clock that day, they say would like to take the process forward with that one. That's how efficient they are, because there is a need. Yes, all right. So do the best you can when you go there, and then they'll advise me that out of the 3 people or 4 people have said would like to go forward with Joshua. Right? I'll call Joshua and say to Joshua, I need to take references on you. All right. Also, depending on the role that you've been employed for, you are being employed for, they may also want to do credit checks on you and criminal checks on you. We need your permission to do that. You need to sign an indemnity form allowing us to actually check up on that for you, on you, and we forward it to the client, to the prospective employer. And then the references we're going to take on you. We're going to ask the people you have worked with, do they know you? Yes, your pastor is wonderful to want him to give a reference, but we want a reference from you on the work aspect of your life, not on the spiritual aspect. So it talks to us, needed to get a reference from somebody you directly worked with. So we get the reference, and when we are happy with the reference, we forward the reference to the prospective organization. The organization will then proceed to make you an offer. Yeah, and when the offer of employment is been made, we get to know what you're on, what is the job worth. All right, it's not always about because you're earning so much, so you should be paid so much. No, it varies with levels. At entry levels, companies will tell you we want to pay so much for this particular role. So we'll tell you for this particular role, that's what they will pay you. Yeah, it's on your blessing that we even put your papers through. Because if you say, for example, I want to earn 10,000 rand, and this position is only paying 8,000 rand, we will not send your papers because it's another exercise in futility. So when the offer is now made to you, you either accept, preferably, or you decline if it's not, if it falls short of your expectations. But one thing I cannot tell you as well, in receiving an offer of employment, is to be kind to yourself. What do I mean when I say be kind to yourself? Do not take it as a bargaining chip to your employer. Say, "Oh, by the way, I've been offered this job. What are you going to do for me?" Because you know what employers do? They'll match what you've been offered, but already you've cut your career short because they already know that there's a risk here. We've got a team of 11 people playing football for us. This team, this company, we've got a team of these 11 people playing, but now we know that the striker wants to leave. We'll keep the striker for the short term. At a convenient time, if you ever show up again, you say, "No, never mind. There's Tabo there. He can take your position." And they'll say, "Where would you like to go?" That can happen. All right? So try as much as possible. Do not entertain counter offers. They are not good for you. When you get to a certain point in your career, in your life, when you decide to leave, do yourself a favor and leave. It's for the good of all. Because bear in mind, after you leave, the relationship with your former employers is not severed. When somebody else, years down the road, when somebody will need to take a reference, they will go to this very company you've left today. So leave people on good terms.
Yes.
It's a situation that is a reason. A time has come for you to move on. Part amicably. That when you meet, it's the cycle of life.
Yeah.
So part amicably and build a career for yourself. Yeah? And so you accept and you prepare. And also when you serving your term of notice, do not just up and leave unceremoniously. If you've got to serve your notice, come to terms and agreement with your employers, your current employers. Do not burn bridges where you may need to walk tomorrow. That is very important. And it's also very mature for a professional person to do.
Right.
We discourage that. I myself would not partake in an exercise of that nature. My role in that is that I'm a catalyst. When it's all said and done, you should be happy that I did come through when I said there's an opportunity. It has come to fruition, it has come to manifestation. And also on this other hand, to the employer, I said I could render this service to find you the best possible person. So when the two of you come together, I wish both of you well, that it will be to your mutual benefit, and we move on. It's not that I will do a follow-up, obviously, to find out, hey, by the way, how are you getting on? And also check with the employer, the line manager, whoever is a referral point for me, how is he performing or how is she performing? So that if there are any challenges that you may come across in the process, let me know so that I may communicate them across to see if the situation can be rectified for the mutual benefit of all. So that's recruitment per se. What this process is all about, recruitment, is satisfying a need. And there are two pillars to a company. There are two resources that make or break companies. How they manage the finances. There's no room for error where finances are concerned. Those of us in business, we know, right? And the type of people who come into their company every day. That's their next most valuable resource. So that's my 2 cents worth on recruitment. Thank you for the indulgence.
Amen. Wasn't that wonderful?
Amen.
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 As you can see, we've got a lot of young people here. I know very well that quite a number of these young people are looking for jobs.
Yes.
So when we start to have our fellowship after church, use these words of wisdom. God sent people like this to us because as a ministry, we are trying to get more people employed so that we can give more, right? So that's why God would maybe say, okay, because he looked for me, this guy, all right? Why? Because he thought he was just going to get help, but God actually was sending on an assignment to say, there's a young ministry, I want you to work with them so that you can grow them, right? So he's going to play a very critical role. So you guys utilize that. People who are looking for jobs, utilize that. I know that Sarah is a work planner, and I know that she's on the market and so forth. I know that Melissa, for example, and quite a number of people. Now, here's what we're going to do for just 2 minutes. Can we have some questions? Whether you are looking for a job or you're looking for a promotion or you're looking for career guidance, jobs, promotions, or career guidance, this is your chance. Very quickly, let's take 1 or 2 questions.
All right.
I was asking, which industry do you specialize in?
I'm what they call a generalist. In my career spanning over 30 odd years, I've recruited from a cleaner to a chairperson of a company, to a chairperson, to the chairman of a company. Yes, the C-suite, what they call the C-suite. The diversity of some of the assignments I've recruited was for chief of police, for a metro, for a metro.
Chief of police.
Chief of police, yes. It's been a blessing and a humbling experience. The beauty about recruitment, you never say you know it, because every position is unique,
Right.
and the diversity of the people you are going to interact with as well. It's not, you can never say you know it. The space of recruitment, when you get somebody who says, I know it all, chase that person out of the room. They've stopped learning. You're always learning. You're always learning. And you're going to come across things you never anticipated.
Yeah.
So you see, the beauty about recruitment, you're only as good as the last job you do.
Yeah.
Okay. I can say I've got 30 years experience. Yeah. But the next client will say, what was the last job you did?
Right.
Yeah. And the candidate will say, oh yeah, you say all these wonderful promises. Can you get me a job? Because it's their time to come to you. And you've got to be alive and sensitive to the candidate and to the client. Yeah. Yes, Pastor.
Recruit wives and husbands. That's my real question.
Yeah.
My real question is that for a young church like ours, where I did mention that we have quite a number of young people, how can we help us like in a practical way? You know, obviously from what you said, you recruited from cleaners all the way to C-suite and the executive and even in government, right?
Oh, yes.
These young people, what do we need to do from a practical perspective to
Um,
maybe help them to get jobs, those who are interested?
The starting point actually is writing the right CVs.
Yes.
That's the starting point, because that's the paper that goes across to prospective employers.
Right.
And when you're looking for a job, if you'd indulge me, when you're out there looking for a job, don't take it badly when you do not get that job. You know, we have developed from my former boss. I've held on to that adage of there's a lid for every pot. So there is somewhere where you will fit. It's a matter of when. So do not lose heart. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. That opportunity will locate you. Yes.
How much influence do you have after you found the candidate for the job?
Oh, thank you. As I said, I'm a catalyst. I recommend, when I take your CV through to the client, I'm saying, this could be the person you're looking for. By me getting you to the door, that is the starting point. I must present you in the best light possible to the employer. That the employer may have appetite to say, yes, I would like to see him. All right? Then when the employer says they would like to see you, it's you to put your best foot forward and present yourself the best way possible. Yes. The influence is that I am privileged to be called upon to assist where there is a particular need. Yeah? Yes.
What are the main things that you look for when you're looking for candidates?
All right. Starting point. Do you meet the basic requirements for a particular role? The client will tell me they are non-negotiables. Does the position require a matric, a degree, a master's degree, a PhD, whatever qualification they are looking for? So do you meet the basic criteria? And do you have the relevant experience that matches what the client is looking for? Right? Client spells out what the attributes they want to find in that the person who they want to take on a particular role should have. All right? From where I sit, I'll look amongst the candidates that I have who meet that particular criteria. That is the start, yes. So once there is that match, then I will approach you and say, by the way, there's this opportunity with such and such a company. Would it be of interest to you? Yes. I don't know if I answered you correctly.
Yes.
Yappy? Okay.
How do you find your candidates?
How do I find my candidates? I will advertise roles. I sit now with a database of over 22,000 professionals built over the 30 odd years that I've been in the industry.